Hi, my name is Sharon Ann Brown. I am the chair of the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum. Thank you for joining me on Treaty 4 territory. I know that you're all joining me from across the province. The treaty territories are 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. Traditional Métis homelands and the lands where many Indigenous peoples have gathered for thousands of years. I am very pleased to be here today to share our book, Little Shadd, The Story of Ujima, written by Alix Lwanga and Miriam Körner, with illustrations done by Miriam Körner. The wagon stops in front of the Central Drugstore. It is Mr. Beatty from Stony Creek. Little Shadd runs to greet the family friend. Mr. Beatty! Did you come to celebrate my birthday with us? No, Little Shadd. I came to ask your father's help. Niganisu's little daughter needs to see the doctor, says Mr. Beatty. He turns to Dr. Shadd. Can you come with us? Of course. I'll get my medicine bag. Dr. Shadd nods to the man next to Mr. Beatty in the wagon. Terniki, the man replies, but his eyes look sad. Dad, don't go. Little Shadd pulls on his father's sleeve. I'm sorry, Garrison. Dr. Shadd shakes his head. It is important I see to the sick child. More important than my birthday? If I'm the only one who can help, then it is what I have to do. I told you about Ujima, remember? Our brothers and sisters' concerns are our concerns. But they're not our brothers and sisters, Little Shadd protests. Wait, Little Shadd calls as his father puts his medicine bag into the wagon. Can I come with you, please? I don't know, Garrison. It's a long journey. But Dad, it's only a wagon ride. It will be so much fun, Little Shadd pleads. Dr. Shadd scratches his chin. All right, jump in, son. Alfred? Little Shadd mother shakes her head. He's way too young. We'll see, Dr. Shadd replies, as he kisses her goodbye. The wagon leaves the last houses of town behind. The endless prairie stretches ahead. Will we have to swim across a river? Little Shadd asks. He's not a good swimmer. Mr. Beatty laughs. Where did you get that idea? My dad told me he once had to swim across the Saskatchewan River to see one of his patients. Your dad is a courageous man, but don't worry. Niganisu's teepee is near to my house at Stony Creek. It is almost dark when Mr. Beatty stops the horses. Niganisu leads the way to his tent. Inside, his wife rocks their little baby. Niganisu talks to her softly. Little Shadd wishes he could understand what they were saying. The child is getting weaker. Her mother fears she might die. Mr. Beatty translates. Dad, do something. I... Little Shadd breaks off. There's so much sadness in the tent right now, and there's nothing he can do about it. Little Shadd wishes he had never come. Dr. Shadd gently unwraps the baby from her moss bag and lays her on the blanket. I need warm towels. Garrison, will you go and ask Mrs. Beatty for them? Little Shadd nods, but he's not sure. It's dark outside, and this place is so much different from home. Garrison, what are you doing out here in the middle of the night? asked Mrs. Beatty. In the lantern light, she looks like a ghost. I'm helping my dad. Mrs. Beatty smiles. What a courageous young man you are. Handing him a wash basin and some towels. It is the second time little Shadd has heard that word today. He's not quite sure what it means, but it makes him feel so much better. The baby's crying when little Shadd returns to the tent. He carefully strokes her hair. It's soft and dark like his sister's, only this baby's a lot younger. Little Shadd talks to her quietly. The baby stops crying. When Dr. Shadd is done with the treatment, he hands the little bundle back to her mother. Your daughter will be fine. The mother smiles and holds the baby to her chest. Little Shadd smiles too. Teniki Nista. Thank you, brother. Niganisu reaches for his drum. The drum beat fills the inside of the tent, then becomes one with little Shadd's own heartbeat. It's different than anything he has heard before, and yet the power of it reminds him of his father's African drum. Little Shadd takes his father's hand. Their silent prayers rise with Niganisu's song. The sun is rising when little Shadd and his father leave the teepee. I'm sorry we didn't have a birthday party for you this year, Dr. Shadd says, looking kindly down at his son. But Dad, this was the best birthday ever, little Shadd exclaims. I can't wait to tell Mother about our new baby sister and how sweet she is. I am so happy that she is better. So what I want to do right now is to give you some information about Dr. Shadd and also to acknowledge the fundamental team that is behind this whole legacy project of the Little Shadd book. Dr. Alfred Shadd was born in 1870 and died in 1915. He was an early Saskatchewan pioneer who left his mark as a doctor, teacher, farmer, journalist, politician, and a friend. In celebration of his African ancestry, the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum, otherwise known as SACM, is pleased to present this children's book as a legacy project in honor of Saskatchewan's shared history and multicultural heritage. SACM gratefully acknowledges the support of its fundraisers and sponsors. They are the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, SaskCulture, and the Melfort and District Museum. SACM also acknowledges the volunteers who contributed valuably to this insight and to this community project as well. Special thanks to the University of Regina Cooperative Education Program, to Dr. Liz Cooper, and also to the Melfort and District Museum staff. SACM salutes all the sponsors of Little Shadd, a story of Ujima, for ensuring the successful completion of this literacy project. Stick around! Some of my colleagues and friends will be here to answer your questions and share more information. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everyone. We're gathered here today to answer your questions. So here we go. My name is Sharon Ann Brown, and I'm the chair of SACM. So I'm pleased to be here today for Sask Literacy Day to answer your questions.
Yeah, my name is Alix, and I'm the co-author of Little Shadd.
And I'm Carol Lafayette Boyd. I'm the executive director of the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum.
First question, Alix, how did you know you wanted to be an author?
Well, I understand you guys want to know how I wanted to know that I wanted to be an author. I actually didn't set out to be an author at all. This was a project with a lot of stakeholders and a lot of different people putting effort together. So I was able to write the book through the University of Regina Arts internship during my undergrad degree.
So what made you decide to write about this? How did this project happen?
Okay, so I guess you guys want to know how this project happened. I had heard about SACM and did know Carol. Carol is the one who supervised me during the internship, and there was a lot of information about Dr. Shadd in Melfort, and I had the pleasure of, during my internship, being able to go to the Melfort Museum, and they just have a plethora of information about the history of Melfort and the impact of Dr. Shadd on the area. And yeah, it was just through that research that I was able to find out about Dr. Shadd, who is, I know it's like the pictures look very vibrant, but he's a real person, a real historical figure. So I was able to learn about the story and his interactions with the Indigenous community and the settler community in Melfort. So yeah, the depiction is historically based on historical facts.
So we may not know the answer to this, but there's a school wondering, how did the baby get sick?
Oh, how did the baby get sick? You know what? When I was doing my research, I did notice one of the surrounding Indigenous communities, I can't remember which band or which community specifically, they did have some information on Dr. Shadd and on this story. So maybe that's something that we can find out more about the Indigenous family and the baby and how they got sick. And, you know, that information might actually be out there.
There's a follow-up question from Cadbury Schools grade 1 and 2. Did the baby live after Dr. Shadd's visit?
I like to think so.
Yes, I do believe the baby lived. And again, any additional information that we have, we will be, for sure, be putting it on the Saskatchewan Literacy Network's website at saskliteracy.ca, as well as Miriam Körner, who's the co-author, is also pleased to be available for any information that or resources that we require. As well, we will also have information at the SACM's website at www.sacm.org.
Yeah.
So Sharon and Alix, you might both be able to answer this. How long does it take to write a story?
Oh, well, I'm currently authoring my first book right now, and it's a very long process. You know, there are actual, you have to go through, getting the story on paper. And then once you have all your thoughts on paper and a fairly good outline of what you want to say and what story you're going to tell, then, you have an editor that you work with, then you have to go through the editing process. And it could be as many as 3 substantive edits. And then you have to do your illustrations. And then, if that looks okay, then you can decide on what type of a publishing date you have. It is a long process, and I'm sure Alix can attest to that. It is not an easy thing. Writing the story, that is the hardest work, but then everything else is an in-process type of situation where it is quite time-consuming, but it's very rewarding at the end.
Yeah, and I can speak about this process. I actually basically found the story at the Melfort Museum, and I felt the story really wrote itself. All of the information was there, and I had the chance of working with, I'm sure Carol, you remember Dr. Liz Cooper at the University of Regina in the education department in terms of finding my voice and giving the different characters a voice and coming up with, oh, you know, we should do it from whose perspective should we do it from? And then, yeah, I think I did my internship in 2012, and it was published.
Yeah, the book was published in 2015.
Yes, it's quite a process, you know, and it all depends on, you know, what your theme of the book is and whether or not, you know, it is children's books, a short story, or if it's just about numbers or just about pictures, illustrations. But it's a very rewarding feeling at the end when it's all ready for publication.
And I think we also, you can talk about the translation maybe and any upcoming translations?
Yes, the book has been translated into French, so we have the French edition, and we're working on the Cree and Michif edition, and hopefully that'll be out by next year.
Yes, we're quite happy to know that Little Shadd will be available in a variety of languages, because we often do get questions on our website about different, you know, whether or not it's going to be available in this language. And based on the background and the theme of the book, which is of Aboriginal theme, you know, we do, it's a question that we often get, you know, if it's going to be in a different Aboriginal language. So we're very happy, and we've worked very hard with the different communities to ensure that, you know, we get the work in progress to have the book translated.
The Cree Reading might be out next month.
Okay. Yeah, I understand because of this program, the Cree Reading is probably going to be available for people to read, thanks to Literacy Saskatchewan.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Sask Literacy Network.
Yeah.
We
But
appreciate that.
Yeah. And we could also say that in most libraries, in school libraries, this book should be in your library. I think you might find it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Questions about Dr. Shadd now. How old is the doctor when the story is happening? And where was the doctor born? That's from Hudson, from Jansen School in Regina.
Okay. Dr. Shadd was actually born in Ontario. His family had come up from the United States several years before. And I suspect he was probably, if his son was around 10 or whatever, he was probably around 40 at that time, yes.
Next question is, how old was Dr. Shadd when he died?
Okay, Dr. passed away in 1916, and I don't have it handy there, but
45?
okay, he was 45
Yeah, he was
then,
fairly young.
yeah, when he
Yeah.
passed away.
We can have that question answered as well and make it available on our website, www.sacam.org, as well as Sask Literacy Network at saskliteracy.ca. We'll make the answer available there as well.
Yes, and there is a fact sheet on our website about Dr. Shadd. So if
Okay.
you go to the website, you can find that.
Great. So now from Shaunavon Public School, why did the kid not care that he didn't get a birthday?
I think throughout the story, he just figures out what's important for him and his family. So he's on a learning discovery in terms of his values throughout the story. So, yeah.
And I think, you know, the part about Ujima really stuck with him when he remembered what his father said, you know, our brothers and sisters' concerns are our concern. And through that moment, I think he realized that what is important to me? What did I learn today? And the birthday became sort of a secondary thing for him, and a discovery of having met, you know, a new family, and the fact that, you know, a new baby sister, even though she was a little bit younger, it was really a discovery for him. And, you know, he really used that opportunity as a learning opportunity, and, you know, from his father's teaching, and it made his father proud, as, you know, as well as he was quite proud of his, you know, the moment.
So the grade 3 class of St. Michael's in Moose Jaw wants to know, without technology, how did the doctor know about the baby when they lived so far away? Beginning.
Well, what was the character's name?
Yeah.
Mr. Beatty. Mr. Beatty, one of their family friends, brought the news about the baby being ill and the fact that he required Dr. Shadd's service to come and take a look at the baby.
Yeah.
And I can probably talk, being older, how when you lived on a farm and you had no phones or anything, people jumped on the horse, because you could ride the horse even in the wintertime, and got to the neighbors, however you had to get there. So that was quite possible back in that day.
We have a comment from grade 2, Shaunavon Public School. We like that you are doing sign language. Thanks.
Yes, that is really neat to have this
Yes.
book translated and signed.
Yeah, and accessible to as many people as possible.
Yes.
So yeah, we're happy to have that.
We sure are.
So, more author questions. How many stories have you written?
I've only written one story. This is my first. So yeah.
And mine is in progress, and it will be available sometime this year.
And we know Miriam has several books.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Miriam has several books. We're very happy that we were able to get her on board. As you can see, her illustrations are beautiful, and yeah, this is her craft.
A new one just released. Then, what inspired you to be an author?
You know, I enjoy writing. I've always been writing all my life, and you know, I've written all sorts of documentations, technical documentations, just everything that I feel that I have a story to tell, I would write on. But it's just in your head. It is what you want to do. You have something to say, and I just find a quiet time, and I just sit down and I write away. And sometimes I even record what I want to say and then make a story of it. I always have something to say and a story to tell. And I'm a bit of a funny person also, so it just it's a catalyst for me being who I am, with a story to tell all the time. So I really enjoy telling stories, and it's just something that you're just built to write, and I really enjoy writing.
Yeah. And if I can speak about this book, I didn't really see myself as a writer. I did have to write a lot for, whether it was for work or at the time when I was in school. But I think we're always storytelling, and through so many different mediums. And this story was already basically there. It's just now being shared in a book that's more accessible. So yeah, I think we can all think of ourselves as kind of storytellers.
So, Anna from Holy Trinity Catholic School Division in Moose Jaw wonders, how young is the author?
Well, I think when I wrote it, I was in my 20s. So I was undergraduate university age, the regular age that people are then, yeah.
Thanks. Now we have more questions about Dr. Shadd. Where did Dr. Shadd become a doctor?
I believe he took his original training in Ontario, but he also went to England to get most of his education as a doctor.
Yeah.
How old would little Shadd be now? Is he still alive?
He would probably be 100 and about 110.
Absolutely not. He passed away.
Yes, he would pass away. Although some people do live to more than
Long
110,
beyond
yes.
those years, yes.
Yes, we lost contact actually with what happened with the Dr. Shadd's family, his wife and 2 children.
We have a couple of groups that are just saying hello. So if you want to say hi to them.
Hey, hi.
Hi,
Thanks for
everyone.
watching.
Thanks for watching.
Someone wonders, what are the titles of your books? Alix, this is the one you've got here. But Sharon,
The title of my book that will be published, it's called Bedtime for Baby Alfie.
So now, Shaunavon Public School is wondering about the dog in the story.
Yeah, I guess we just tried to do a setting that would be more like in a rural setting. They would have animals around, and maybe Carol can speak
Yes,
to that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I see that dog there, and he looked like the dog we had on the farm, Butch, because he would follow us to town, which was about 21 miles at that time. And we'd want him to stay in the farm, but he would end up coming to town. So that's what dogs do, they run. So
Yeah, and having a dog in the picture just really enables a very rural setting and just a nice feel family setting where you have a pet to call upon or a pet to cuddle with or somebody to fuss about, you know, even at the table when you're having dinner or watching TV with the families in the evening. So the dog really added it's a huge ambiance to the setting of the story. So yeah, it was very well illustrated with the dog in the picture.
Madison from St. Michael's wants to know, did Dr. Shadd have any siblings?
that, do you know?
I think we can follow up with the Melfort Museum
Yes.
on Dr. Shadd's siblings. But Dr. Shadd's a well-known person. You can even Google and find a lot of information on Dr. Shadd. If you ever are driving through Melfort, the community knows him. You'll see a Shadd, Dr. Shadd Street. I think there's a lake in the area named after him. So yeah.
Yeah, they have a doctor's office in the museum because
Yeah.
of Dr. Shadd.
Colby from Holy Trinity Catholic School Division wants to know, what inspired Dr. Shadd to become a doctor?
I would think that his family, the Shadd family, like I guess it would be his aunt, she had been owned a newspaper, and the family were quite well known about the things that they had done, and I think it was just important that he do something that's worthwhile, and being a doctor would have been very worthwhile.
I think we should also know Dr. Shadd was very accomplished. He did a lot of things in the city. He did he run for federal politics or provincial
Yes,
politics?
it was federal before
Yeah.
Saskatchewan was a province.
Yeah, he ran
yes.
for federal politics. He had a newspaper. He was on many councils. So I think it just speaks to him as a person, of someone who wanted to be the best version of himself, and also someone who really wanted to contribute to his community. And I think like why I really wanted to write about him was like I got to Melfort and people were telling me, oh yeah, Dr. Shadd, he was a doctor there when like my grandpa was born, and Shadd is actually in our family's name. Like my middle name is Shadd. So I think he's somebody who the community is really proud of. So he still has a mark in Saskatchewan history. So yeah.
Yeah, he had a pharmacy
Yeah.
too, and he had racehorses.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite
He was
a
well
busy person.
represented,
Yeah.
well represented across all sectors of the economy. So it's very good of him.
So Autumn from St. Michael's School wonders, why did the doctor pass away at such a young age?
He had appendicitis, and by the time he got to Winnipeg to be taken care of, he had passed away.
People are wondering about little Shadd, and what did he grow up to be?
That's something we would really like to know if anybody ever
Yes,
has
we'd-
found the
yeah.
information. We
Yeah.
haven't found out what happened to his mother and
And what
his
turned-
sister.
Yeah. Carol and I often talked about that. Yes, we'd really like to know because, you know,
Yeah, and the Melfort Museum, they did a lot of research
Mm-hmm.
and trying to find that information, and hopefully one day we will.
we'll find out.
Yeah, and we've met some of the, I've met a distant relative of Shadd from Ontario, because there's still family there.
So now they want to know, was it Lil Shadd's birthday on the day that he and his father left, or was it the day after that?
It was on his birthday because he woke up so excited that it was his birthday. So that day was monumental for him because everything happened on his birthday. And that's why, you know, when the story was moving forward, it became so engaging that he had a self-discovery, he met a new family, and all of those activities happened on his birthday.
Grade 2 in Sunningdale School in Moose Jaw. What was the doctor's first name?
Alfred Schmitz.
Yep.
Yes. He's called Alfred Schmitz Shadd.
Shadd.
The Mrs. Mercer's class, 4-5 class, wants to know, do you have your next book in the works? What will your next book be about?
I know Miriam has written other projects, and yeah, you know, I might get the opportunity to maybe write again in the future. And I think it's just about being inspired and finding a story that I think would really be interesting to bring to light. But we have another author here who...
Yes, my book, or books, it's a series. There will be, because this has already been planned out already with my publisher, it's going to be 10 books in the series, all about Alfie and his adventures and as he moves forward in life. So I've actually, I'm on, while I'm, book number 1 is in progress, going through the series of edits. I've already started 2, and I've done an outline on 3 and 4 and 5. So it's because I have all these ideas, and I'm just going crazy. And as soon as I get an idea as to where Alfie is in his stages, I've been documenting that. So I'm actually working on up to 5 books at the same time. And, you know, it will be a series of 10. So, yeah, it's crazy. You know, people, you may wonder, where do you get all this time? It's not that. It's while I'm driving, I'm thinking. While I'm cooking, I'm thinking. And even sitting here, I'm getting some ideas as to what I can do for books 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, you know, that's just how it is.
Yeah, and also SACM is looking at, because this book is based on the Kwanzaa values, and if you look at the back of the book, it explains those in there. And we have kind of in the works one on Emojo, that's unity, and that might be the next book that SACM produces. So.
Yes. I'm not sure who our author will be. I'm busy, but I'm not sure if Alix will take that up.
Actually, there is
I think
someone
they
in
have
Ontario.
Someone
Yeah,
in
I have
Ontario is
someone in
writing it. Okay.
Formerly from Regina.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that would be very good. So we'll look forward to having that when that is published.
So Mavis, kindergartner in Regina, wants to know, who was Mrs. Beatty?
Mrs. Beatty, in the book, based on the narrative, was the wife of Mr. Beatty. And she came in, you know, because I am the narrator as well. I've done 2 separate sets of narration for the book, and I've been able to absorb the characters and been able to speak to the characters. You know, she was sort of a character in the cloud somewhat. A little Shadd met her when they were in the tent, you know, in Nikonisu's tent when the baby was ill. So she, you know, was the wife of Mr. Beatty and was there to support Dr. Shadd's work by providing supplies when they were in the tent, based on, you know, sort of, that was the framework around how her character came to be. So Alix, you can speak to that if, you know, you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, we tried to fill the story out as much as possible with different characters that different people can relate to. So, yeah.
And what year did the story take place?
We'd probably be looking at about 1910,
1910.
based on, you know, the ages of everybody.
Yeah, and we can also check with the museum when the story took place, because this story did happen, so we can put that on the website as well.
So this might be our last question. What do you hope people take away from this book?
Yeah, I think we can all speak to that a little bit. So
Yes,
let's get
we hope that you can take away, just the history of the different cultures that we have in our province, and the fact that there's unity in the different communities that we live in. We have all different types of people that live in these communities, and people can understand that we're all here to help each other, and the different cultures and diversity that make up this wonderful country of ours called Canada.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting book because different people can identify with different characters for different reasons. And I guess for me, it stands out in terms of just being able to go to Melfort, how proud the Melfort community is of their history and Dr. Shadd, and that we can kind of reimagine the Saskatchewan history just differently than what the dominant narrative might be, in terms of thinking, all different, it's hard to say different types of people because there's only one really human race, but people from different walks of life participated in building up Saskatchewan and making it the province it is today. And it's just really exciting to see the different communities and how this is a part of their legacy and a part of their story in Saskatchewan and in rural Saskatchewan.
And for us at the Saskatchewan African Canadian Heritage Museum, we were blessed to be able to recognize Dr. Shadd as one of the first people of African descent to come to this province. Well, it wasn't province when he first came, but what's interesting is that a lot of people in Saskatchewan, and I didn't even know about him myself, but a lot of people don't realize that people of African descent have been here for over 100 years.
For many, many years, yes. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to watch the event today on Sask Literacy Day, and we really appreciate all the questions you have.